Welcome to the Fierce and Fit Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Clarice Yao, a holistic health coach dedicated to helping women over 40 achieve their fittest, fiercest selves. Each week, we'll dive deep into the unique challenges of menopause, including belly fat, weight gain, muscle building, hormonal imbalances, and more. These episodes are recorded live from my free Facebook group, Fierce Women Sculpting Powerful Bodies and Champion Mindsets. Be sure to check the link in the show notes to join our incredible community and access free content, challenges, and resources designed just for you. And this is Metabolism 10. So what does Metabolism 10 mean? It means we're going to talk about the top 5 ways you're slowing down your metabolism and the top 5 ways to boost your metabolism back up. So I call it Metabolism 10. To be honest, there's so much behind metabolism that I feel like it should be called Metabolism 20, because as I was doing it, I was like, there's so much. And I cut out a whole bunch of points because there's just so much. There's probably Metabolism 20 at some point, but we're going to make it to Metabolism 10. So I know that this is a really popular topic just because metabolism affects everybody. Everybody has to figure out what their metabolism is, and most people want to maximize their metabolism. We're gonna go get into it, but before I do, I also want to just I'll talk about this. Maybe I'll talk about it now. One thing I want to say is why I say top five ways that you're slowing down your metabolism and top 5 ways that you can boost your metabolism is I just want all of you guys to know. Typically, you may hear people say you destroyed your metabolism or all of that, and I want to make sure everybody understands that you actually can't really destroy your metabolism. If you destroyed your metabolism, you would be dead. So what's really great about this is that it's not permanent or irreparable. If you have downshifted your metabolism, you can always upshift your metabolism. So that's why this live is very powerful, because you can find out ways in which you have maybe downshifted your metabolism, slow down your metabolism, but then you can also, with the right approaches, speed it back up. So let's first talk about what is metabolism. So metabolism is the internal processes of your body, all the chemical processes that come together to convert food into energy and burning calories. Okay. So that's why people always talk about metabolism, because metabolism has to do with how much calories you burn, how much energy you expend. Okay. Your metabolism runs 24/7 a day. It never shuts off. It helps you with every bodily function like breathing, circulating blood, growth and repair. So it is always going. Okay. Now, different body types and different body sizes have different metabolism. It's not just because you're tall, you would have a good metabolism, or short. It doesn't really matter. It really comes down to a couple of things. So the first thing is genetics does play a part to it. That is true. There is a part to it that is genetically determined on how fast your metabolism will be. But a lot of doctors, obviously, and people have done a lot of research in metabolism, say as you age, though, the biggest determining factor for your metabolism is your your food, your diet, like how you eat, as well as your activity level. And that is the biggest factor of why people have better metabolisms or not as good metabolisms. Sure, you may, like Tracy's husband, like we were talking about, his whole family is super lean on her husband's side, super high metabolism. Awesome. There's some genetic factor to it. However, as you guys age, the biggest 2 factors you guys have to look at is your eating and your activity level. So we are going to dive into that. Now, before I dive into it, how many of you watching right now? Yes, I see Oshoni popped on as well. Christy, Stella, Colleen, awesome. And yes, Debbie, I see you as well. How many of you, if you were to make a guess, would you say you have a slow metabolism, an average metabolism, or a high metabolism? What would you say? So put it below, just so I have an idea of who on this call feels like they have a slow metabolism, a medium metabolism, or a high metabolism. So before I keep going, one thing I want to talk about is the concept of metabolic adaptation. Slow. I see Wanda says slow metabolism. Dorothy says average. And Dorothy, I look forward to chatting with you on Friday. So Judy says slow. Okay. Magdalena says slow. Okay. Keep going. Keep coming in with all this. I see a lot of slow metabolisms. Average, Tara. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So
I want to talk about the concept of metabolic adaptation, which is similar to what I said at the very beginning. So, why, I mean, amongst doctors, scientists, people in Harvard University, kind of people who study these things, they actually don't like the term to say your metabolism is completely damaged and things like that, because, like I said, you can't, that's not really what happens. What actually happens is you have a metabolic adaptation. Okay. So, what does that mean? It means that your body has a total energy balance. It is always trying to maintain homeostasis and get it to be like functioning and living and still give all the energy it needs for your heart, digestive system. So when you've maybe, maybe dieted a lot or done different things that have caused, it to adapt to a lower metabolism, it's just adapting to the energy level. So I'm going to talk about that, but in terms of adapting to the energy level is like if you don't give it as much food or you don't treat it well, it just adapts to that range and then it drops. It's like the fire. I always think about the fire metabolism as a fire, and then it just simmers down, right? But like as you know, a fire can be what stoked. It could you drop more wood in there and it could burn more. It could even become a massive like bonfire or take over the whole house, which we don't want. But it like a fire has the ability to go simmer down or come back up. So what I want you guys to understand is metabolic adaptation is really what's happening with a lot of you. That have a slow metabolism. It doesn't mean like you're permanently slowed, it's just that your metabolism has adapted to what you've decided to do in your factors for lifestyle, for workouts, different things that you've decided to do. Or in the past, you have like dieted a lot that has created a metabolic adaptation. So, with it being an adaptation, it means it can adapt to new stimulus and new lifestyle changes that will actually bring it back up. So that's the first thing I want you guys all to switch in your mind is it's not like you permanently have a slow metabolism or you permanently have this type of metabolism. It's just you've adapted to a certain way of a lifestyle that you may need to tweak or make some changes. Okay, so let's first talk about top 5 things you're doing that's slowing down your metabolism. Now, it's going to be similar to some things in the where I'm going to talk about the boosting metabolism, but it's a lot of topics. So I'm going to just talk about 5 common ones, and then the bigger ones they're coming at the next one, the top 5 that you boost your metabolism. Okay, so the first thing, top 5 things you're doing to slow down your metabolism is number 1. I already said this: you diet all the time or try to restrict your calories, or you're too busy to eat. So why did I clump this together? So you diet all the time, or you try to restrict your calories, or you're too busy to eat. Because under a metabolic adaptation is this type of adaptation is because under all those circumstances, your body adapts to you not giving it enough food. So it adapts to lowering the fire, and then it just functions at a lower level, right? So let's just say at rest, someone like Tracy's husband can burn, I don't know, at rest maybe 1,500 calories, and maybe her can only burn at rest 1,100 or 1,000 calories at rest, let's just say. So there's a 500 calorie difference just at rest, right? So if you diet or you restrict your calories or you're too busy to eat, so I don't know if there is people who are too busy to eat, and you skip a lot of your meals, then you're going to create a metabolic adaptation to lower that fire. So who here finds that they are constantly dieting, either say dieting, or you're restricting too much of your calories, or you're too busy to eat? So which one is it that you guys fall into that category? Because all 3, you're going to lower your fire, right? So yes, Carolyn, you're on here. I'm so excited for you. I sent you a message in the app too as well. So Magdalena, you skip meals. So that's already big no, because you're going to find that your fire will lower because of that, right? And anybody else who's doing lots of diets, when I say diets, it's often when it's like restricting something or group of food, like keto, restricting a lot of like your carbs and all of that, right? So yeah, all 3, Tracy. Wanda, none of them. Good, Wanda, because that's only one factor of it all. Not eating enough, Lucy. Exactly. Awesome. Okay. Number 2, you don't understand your macros. And this is something I talk a lot about, but I will talk about it in boosting your metabolism later. So if you don't understand your macros, your adaptation, your metabolic adaptation is it will slow down because it doesn't get what it needs. So, and if it doesn't get what it needs, it holds on to more inappropriate things. So I thought about this, I don't know why, but hey, I don't know. Over COVID, when things first started hitting, people started like, stockpiling bathroom tissue paper, but it was almost like that wasn't exactly the right thing to need to stockpile during a COVID situation. But anyways, if that's something that happened in your household, that's okay. Just though it wasn't exactly, maybe there should be other things that needed to be stockpiled. So when you are under lack or scarcity of something, your body actually holds on to different things that you don't want it to hold on to. So if your macros are not great, you're also going to find that your cravings increase. So if you struggle with a lot of cravings, then you're actually affecting your metabolism because your body is actually telling you, I don't actually have enough of these things. I'm craving it. And so you're actually getting your body into a high stress mode, right? So that's number two. So I'm going through the top 5 reasons of why you're slowing down your metabolism a bit quicker, because I have a lot more coming on the boosting side. So if you feel like you're like, okay, I don't understand my macros, I have a lot of cravings, either put macros or cravings below, just so I know as well. If you're like, I need to understand my macros a little bit better, and one of the ways you can tell is if you struggle with a lot of cravings. Tracy, didn't we talk about this? You crave a lot at night. There's something missing in your combos earlier in the day, right? So number 3, so going through this a bit faster, like I said, I'm going to spend more time on the boosting. Number 3, you eat too many processed quick foods. Now, this is not surprising if you've been in my group a lot or you've done my challenges. I'm going to go through really quickly a couple key factors. Now, this is not the extent of all of it in terms of inflammatory markers. I know someone was asking, I forget her name. I teach this in my coaching programs, FFF. You guys are going to learn a lot, especially in this upcoming Friday with Beate, in terms of inflammatory markers. So I'm not going through all the specifics of that because that is in the classes and courses, but I am going to go through some general things that I already talk a lot about. I have it sometimes in the challenges in this group. So things like, so if you eat too many processed or quick foods, you will slow down your metabolism. Okay. So white bread, frozen meals with lots of processed junk and sodium in it. Fruit juices and soda is full of sugar, artificial ingredients, sweeteners, and fruit juices, just because there's fruit does not mean it's healthy. If it's high sugar, it will have a negative impact on your insulin level, which I will talk about later. Artificial sweeteners will also destroy your gut bacteria, which also slows down your metabolism. Okay. Now, margarine, baked goods, and donuts. Oshone, if you're on here, I'm sorry, your donuts. She always says her favorite is donuts, but that's pretty cool because my favorite is chocolate. So we all have our favorites. I'm just teasing her. But margarine, baked goods, and donuts all have high fructose corn syrup, as you guys have heard me talk about that. High fructose corn syrup actually causes insulin resistance. High fructose corn syrup prevents sugar from being uptaked into your cells, and therefore you will have trouble absorbing glucose. It will lower your metabolism level because you have too much sugar floating around in your bloodstream, which then leads to belly fat. Okay. So margarine, baked goods, and donuts. Okay. Also, another factor could be farmed beef. So if you are eating meat that has too much antibiotics or anything like that in there, that will affect your gut flora. So if you are eating any beef or different things like that, try to look for grass-fed beef, because if you eat things with antibiotics in it, it will affect your gut flora, which lowers your metabolism, your gut health, and more fat storage. So, and if you eat a lot of more processed food, like you buy burritos, I know some of my clients previously, I was catching burritos, I was catching their frozen foods and different things. You don't know where those beef come from, and that can have a huge effect on your gut and your metabolism and all of the health. That's just a really quick rundown. Honestly, this could be like a 200-page book on inflammatory markers. So just in terms of the third part of slowing down your metabolism is you eat too many processed quick foods. So put below if you feel like you do not understand quality of food enough. So if you're like, I need to learn about quality of food, put quality of food below. Okay. So that's number 3. Number 4. Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us. Awesome. Number 4. You don't give yourself some fun foods once in a while, and you're too black and white when you try to diet. Okay. So I talk a lot about this in terms of you do need some fun foods. You need to enjoy a little bit. If you are too black and white and you feel like you need to go on this 90-day diet and this, all of this, and not enjoy a little bit of fun foods, you will run yourself into the ground because you will binge. You'll then feel guilty. Then there's a shame cycle that starts to happen. And then you start to restrict, binge, and then your metabolism is all confused and very angry. Your metabolism, what's going on, right? So when it is angry like that, it will slow you down because it's like, I don't know what you're trying to do. So just to be safe, we're going to slow you down. Right. And that's why having some fun foods is important. But I want to preface this because FFF, don't worry, part away later around week 6, 7, we talk about fun foods is you need to know what are proper fun foods to have, meaning you still have to understand the key ingredients you need to look for. You can still have healthy snacks that are fun, that taste good, that is like, it fills your, what do they call it? Your dopamine levels and all of that without it being like horrible for your system. But you have to understand the ingredients within the products to do this properly. Now, I did do a live on fun snacks. And, if you feel like you're a person who restricts a lot or you binge, even if you don't think you binge if suddenly at night you want to eat a whole bunch of stuff. That is considered binging still. So if you are in a position where you're like, yeah, I try to eat so good all day, but nighttime comes, that is a form of binging because then you're taking all this calorie in at the end of the day. Right. So it means something is off and maybe you're too restrictive or your macros are off. Okay. So if you feel like you're too restrictive or you binge, then you can put below. Do you struggle with binging or you struggle with too restrictive? So you're either too restrictive or you binge. And it depends too. If you have maybe gone off the rails and you're just trying to eat healthy, eating healthy isn't necessarily restricting. I would just say like you are just going back to eating normal. Like when you're restricting, it's almost like it feels like you're hungry all the time.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Listening on Spotify, tap that 5-star rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a quick review. It really helps the show reach more women.
Let me put it this way. If you find it extremely hard, you're like, oh, I gotta go on a diet and I can't eat anything. I feel horrible. I'm cranky. That is a diet and that's not sustainable. Most of the times when I'm having people eat the way they do, it should feel like you're eating lots of food. You should eat lots of food, but healthy food, or feel full and satisfied. You should feel full and satisfied. Not saying like you should be like eating so much that you feel like over full, but definitely the goal is you're not feeling so restricted. And if you know what, I know you would find you would be too restrictive if you find eating healthy a chore. So I'm going to say that again. If you find eating healthy a chore, you're on some sort of diet. If you find that eating is a lifestyle, that you enjoy it's just part of what you do. And once in a while, you can still enjoy some fun foods, and I tease Oshone because I know she can sometimes still have her donut or something like that. Or when we're because we know each other in the same city, sometimes at some event, I might pick up a cookie or something and Clarice, you pick up a cookie. Yeah, like I'm fine with a little bit once in a while because I don't want to go into that mode where you're so restricted. And if you do that, your metabolism will be not great, right? So, and there's also a concept, which I'm not going to get into, where sometimes when you eat a little bit more of the fun food, it can boost your metabolism, but I don't want to get into that. There's just don't completely restrict yourself, but you have to know what are the healthy fun foods with the right ingredients in it to prevent massive inflammation in your body, right? So So yeah, put below if you feel like you're too restrictive with your food or you binge eat. And possibly we can send you the Fun Snack Live. We want to talk to you first though, because everybody's situation is different. It depends on what kind of binge, kind of restrictive food cycling you have. Okay, so put it below. Joan, you said eating healthy is not a chore. Good, I love that. And Valerie, thanks for joining. Number 5, okay, the fifth thing that you may be doing that is slowing down your metabolism is you don't get enough vitamin D. Now, obviously, there is sun out there now, which is awesome. But for some people, you may still work indoors for a lot of it the summer. And particularly if you live up north in Canada like us, you may not get enough vitamin D. I know definitely that was Clarice for a while, and I was definitely feeling really tired till I actually started taking my vitamin D again. Vitamin D actually affects your metabolism and your ability to lose weight. Vitamin D is impacting your digestive tract and your mood regulation. Because vitamin D actually impacts not only your digestive tract, but your mood regulation. If you're insufficient in vitamin D, often you can find yourself having more cravings just because you feel very low energy. As well, insufficient vitamin D also leads to higher ghrelin. Ghrelin is the type of hormone that causes you to be hungry. So if you have insufficient vitamin D, you may be getting a lot of hunger signals that actually is not hunger signals. It's just that you're deficient in vitamin D, that you need to make sure you have your vitamin D. Now, in terms of that vitamin D or supplementation, drop vitamin D below if you feel like, oh yeah, I have not been taking my vitamin D. Put vitamin D below, because I did a live on this in regards to vitamin industry is not regulated. So you getting your vitamin D from anything like a Walmart or something like that is not the same as getting vitamins that are actually third-party independently tested vitamins. So put vitamin D below if you want to understand better quality vitamins for yourself and know what's going into your body. That is really important. And obviously, we may also be able to possibly send that vitamin live that I did about like testing and third party I guess standards, right? So yeah, perfect. Okay, I see lots coming in and I am moving fast because there's so much to cover today. All right, so I see lots of vitamin D's coming in. The next part I'm going to talk about is boosting your metabolism. So if I've actually split this into 5 categories, because there was so much to talk about per category, if that makes sense. So there's not really 5 points. There's actually like 5 points with massive amounts within each one. And that still would not cover everything that I need to cover today. Okay. So boosting your metabolism, we are going to look at it from a food perspective, number 1, from a training perspective, number 2, from a drink perspective, number 3, from a supplementation perspective, number 4, and number 5 is lifestyle factors. You guys have your notebook on hand because I'm going to tell you this is going to be packed with so much information. And what I will say before I go into this is you can listen to this all you want, but if you only take this as information and don't know how to apply it, that's going to be an issue. So don't become info beasts. Make sure you are really learning this or asking for help if you need help on this, because so many people get information but don't know what to do with it, right? All right, number 1, understand your food. So this is coming back around a little bit to what I said above, but the first thing is you need to make sure you eat enough protein. Yes, a lot of pros say this, and I'm going to touch on this and break this down a little bit more. Protein is your highest thermogenic effect of food. It actually produces a 30% thermogenic effect increase in your body from metabolic rate. Therefore, most women don't eat enough protein. In terms of watching my own clients, and watching the previous FFF, looking at their food contents, most women do not actually eat enough protein. So when they do not eat enough protein, your metabolism, you don't get the benefits of a metabolic increase. So you got to make sure you have enough protein in there. And so they did a study in a group where they gave 3 groups the protein to eat, but one got lower protein amount, one got moderate protein amount, one got a little bit higher protein amount. And they kept the calories the same for all 3 groups. And all 3 groups, in terms of they were given more calories than they need per day because they wanted to gain weight. So all 3 groups gained weight, but the group that actually had the highest amount protein actually was the one that actually gained more muscle. So the other one, so they all of them gained weight because they were on a higher killer account. They all gained weight. They all gained a little bit of fat, a little bit, but the group that had the higher protein amount actually gained the most muscle. And so this is why this is important, because more protein is going to lead to, with the right stimulus, more protein synthesis. So protein is really important. And then the other thing I'm going to say is understanding your ratios of carbs and fat. Now, this comes back to the macros I said above on what you might be doing wrong, slowing down your metabolism. But what I want to say is that even though protein is the most important, and most fitness professionals will talk about protein, I feel like not enough fitness professionals talk about carbs and fat, or they talk about carbs and fat in a keto way. But I feel like carbs and fat, those macros have to be a part of the total metabolic picture. And so if you don't understand your macros, the percentages of your carbs and your fat, then you're still, even if you have higher protein, which will help with your thermogenic effect in your body and boosting your metabolism. But what I said earlier, what slows it down is when it knows it doesn't have enough of other contents. So if you kind of get what I'm saying, is that you should have more protein. I actually believe you should, and most women don't get enough of it. But I also think that the thing is, if you have more protein, but still you have inaccurate carbs and fat ratio, your metabolism is still not going to be at its optimal speed, because you need to optimally speed it up at the rate that you want, right? So hi, Tanya. Hi, Shanika. So you want to make sure you have proper ratios of carbs and fat, and yes, more protein. This is kind of why I'm giving you guys context, because you're going to hear a lot of pros talk about protein a lot. Yes, it is really important. Programs, health programs do this, where they only give you the calories and how much protein you should hit. That is good. And the reason they do that, a lot of health programs, is because they want you to gain muscle. I get that. But why a lot of pros don't give you the other carbs or fat ratios is because it is less important, but in my opinion, it still is important to your total metabolic rate. It's why I actually still teach that as part of your total calorie count. Like FFFs, you guys will be getting your macros in the fourth week or so, fourth or fifth week. So you need the total package. So that's one way to boost it up, is having more protein and proper macro balance. So I'm going to put it below, or have you put it below. So again, if you did not indicate above that you need to have better macros understanding or better protein understanding, put macros or protein below. Okay, so that's number one. Moving on, I'm moving fast, you guys. Hope you guys are taking notes. Put macros or protein if you need guidance or help on that. Number two, training perspective. This is also not surprising for most of you. Training perspective wise, you have to lift heavier weights. You have to go heavier so that your body has the ability to build more muscle. As you understand, as you age, your muscle mass will decrease. So therefore, you need to actually lift heavier to create the right stimulus. As well, lifting heavier produces what? Human growth hormone, HGH, human growth hormone, that actually helps your muscles and, or I guess, the ability to build more muscle. Okay, I see both. I see macro and protein macros, lots macros. I see a lot of that coming in. Awesome. Awesome. And we'll review all of this for sure. Just make sure you guys check your messages after, because sometimes we message you and you guys are not seeing your messages after. So, and the other thing is, muscle is what we call is energetically expensive. So what we mean by that is that muscle, it burns. It's not only, protein takes a lot of thermic effect to make into, like, to digest the protein and eventually make into muscle, but to maintain muscle is energetically expensive. It takes a lot of calories to maintain that muscle. Therefore, if you're somebody who is like training for bodybuilding or really building muscle, you'll find it harder to maintain muscle on you, and to lose it easily. So you have to eat a right amount of calories to maintain that. And that's why when you see really big guys, or even just not even big guys, just muscular guys, they are eating probably 4,000 to 5,000 calories. Like, that's how energetically expensive muscle is. And you want to create that energetic expensiveness in your body so that it actually like has more metabolic, a higher metabolic rate, right? In terms of the next part I'm going to talk about, I'm going to say it depends on your situation. Okay. I'm going to talk about HIIT, high intensity interval training. So, if you are a person who has a lot of stress in your life or you have big belly, you would not benefit from too much HIIT, but a little bit, maybe 1 to 2 days. If you are a lean individual like Oshone, like myself, or maybe even Kat that has a leaner body already, we can benefit from more HIIT training, high intensity interval training. So why am I bringing this up? Because if you follow a lot of fit pros, there's a lot of talk about HIIT training. It is very important. You should have some HIIT training. But if you are very, very stressed out and you have a very stressed life and you have a big belly and all of that, I would encourage you to do more lit, which is low intensity interval training. You still do interval training, but lower intensity that doesn't spike your cortisol. But if you don't have that issue and you're someone who just wants to become like the next competitor look and you're already lean, you could benefit from HIIT and higher metabolic training because that does again spike your human growth hormone. Why I bring this up is because it's not that straightforward. So if you're not sure whether you should be more HIIT, have more HIIT in your routine or less, you often need to have that assessed with a professional to know what is the right amount. The best way to boost your metabolism is to have a combination of strength and HIIT training, which I've talked a lot about in the past. And the best programs have a mixture of it. So the ones who've done my programs, FFF, you guys currently are doing that right now. You might notice there is strength training, but you also have to do HIIT things within it because I want you to maximize both of them, which is called metabolic resistance training, MRTs. MRTs are actually really effective for building and boosting your metabolism, but you got to get the right programming in place. You have to have right strength training with right HIIT combinations to create the most maximal metabolic I guess, increase. Okay. So, my question to all of you who are listening is how many of you have the right combination for increasing your metabolism in your training? So if you say I have right metabolic training, that's good, or you may have the wrong metabolic training. What would be wrong metabolic training is, like I said, if you are really, really stressed or you have a big belly and you're doing tons of HIIT, tons of CrossFit, that could be a wrong metabolic training for you, or tons of cardio, that could be a wrong metabolic training. It does depend on your goals, your body type, your existing fat percentage that determines what that program should look like. But if you feel like for you that you don't have the right combination of strength and HIIT, put below like need better metabolic strength training, and we will get back to you. So put it below. Do you feel like you have the right metabolic strength training or not the right metabolic strength training? Because there is a combination, and you're going to hear a lot of fit pros talk about building muscle, but also talking about HIIT training. But that combination is different for everybody. And you kind of have to have that to be able to have the right boosting or scaling down your HIIT. It depends on the situation. Just weights and cardio, Nanette. Yeah, it depends on your goal, Nanette. Are you trying to lose more weight, Nanette? Like, are you trying to lean and build more muscle? Because if you are, you probably should have some HIIT in there. So again, put below, do you need better metabolic strength training, or you already have the right metabolic strength training? And then number 3, we're going to jump into strength training. Drinks. We're going to go into drinks. So the first thing, you're not surprised, is I'm going to say drink more water. Okay. Drinking more water actually boosts your metabolism. That's not surprising because your body's functioning more efficiently. You should also drink more cold water for your system, because cold water causes your body to have to heat up the system. And they've done studies that it can increase your metabolic rate by 25% for about 40 minutes after to an hour. So it can actually help you boost that. So you want to drink more water, probably a little bit more cold water to be able to boost your core temperature. You can still drink room temperature water or whatnot, but having some cold water and more water is important for boosting metabolism. Also, I, I know, Oshone. I like warmer water too, but a little bit of cold water, especially like first thing in the morning, is a good way to get your system moving. Okay, so yeah, Christy, I see your comment as well. This next one is not surprising. I mean, if you're super into the fitness world, you've heard this lots. Drinking green tea. Green tea obviously has ECGC, that compound that actually boosts your metabolism. With about 3 cups of green tea a day, you potentially can boost your calorie burn by about 100 calories. And a little bit of caffeine is okay. A tiny bit of caffeine for yourself is okay to boost that. The only thing I would say, obviously, is your green tea is don't add anything to it. Be careful about sugar and other things that you try to add to your drink. Just be cleaner in that, okay? Donuts and warm water, you rebel. Lisa, so funny. That's hilarious. So there's that. Now, obviously, there's also the aspect of detox drinks, which I do in my free challenges with the anti-bloat challenge, with the workout challenge I do. The detox challenge, the detox drinks are more about detoxing, but because you detox the system, you reset your system a little bit. So it is powerful. If you have not done our challenges, you could always put challenge below, and we will put you. We have a list that we have on our file that we tag people on that challenge. You can put next challenge, and we can tag you on the next one. These detox drinks are also a great way to boost your metabolism. And the final thing is caffeine. So in terms of caffeine, I would say a little bit, just like the green tea is okay, and a little bit of maybe coffee is fine, just not too much. There are studies done that like a little bit of coffee or caffeine can help boost your metabolism, especially right before a workout. So it can give you a little bit more energy for your workouts, and also get you more energy going and whatnot. The only thing I would say is, again, it depends a little bit on your situation. If you have a really high stress lifestyle already, you have a big belly, I would say don't go overboard on your caffeine, because if your caffeine is too high, then you're going to actually spike your cortisol too high, and it can actually counteract that system. So the thing it always comes down to, and this is what the way I coach is, I say something, but you got to keep it contextual. And when you listen to, and I mean, there's tons of pros and people and papers and Harvard studies and all of this, is you always must consider context. Someone who has less stress in their life could really do well with like a little bit more boost in caffeine. Someone with high amounts of stress and belly fat, and maybe possible adrenal fatigue, they may not do well with extra caffeine, because it can cause more cortisol system breakdown, because it's releasing more cortisol, and it can actually go counteracting you. So what do I mean by that is, yes, you should have a little bit of caffeine, but take it all with a grain of salt in considering your situation. Are you high stress, low stress, whatnot? And drink lots of water and other drinks like green tea, which is fine. But like, just keep everything in context. Okay. So there's that.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Listening on Spotify, tap that 5-star rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a quick review. It really helps the show reach more women.
Number 4, other possible supplements. Now, in terms of other possible supplements, I am going to say, again, it is contextual, and you may possibly want to check with your doctor in regards to this. A couple of these things can possibly help, but it will not help you if your lifestyle factor is not in place. So what do I mean by that? If you take supplements and your lifestyle factors, you still eat donuts. Sorry, Oshone, I'm just slamming on your donuts today. But or you don't work out very much, or you don't drink water, these supplements are not going to help you, right? It's going to only help you if all these other factors are in place. Okay, so yes, lots of thank yous for you, Debbie. All right, so potentially, if you want to boost your metabolism, potentially, but maybe check with your doctor. You might want to try to get more iodine and chromium in your food, in your eating. Iodine and chromium both relate to your thyroid glands, and your thyroid glands obviously is where your metabolism actually starts with your T1, T2, T3 kind of hormones. iodine is actually needed in order for T4 to convert to T3, and T3 is the usable form of how your metabolism actually goes. In terms of iodine, you can get things like that from, eating more seaweed and kelp and different things like that, like sea kind of based food. You can get more of that. And chromium is a supplement that actually is a mineral. So this type of mineral actually helps bring GLUT4 receptors to the top of your cells. And this GLUT4 receptor actually at the top of your cells captures more floating glucose. So if you're someone who has more glucose floating around in your system, or you eat more sugary foods, all of that, chromium potentially can actually pull together the glucose more into the system, into the cells, and take the glucose out of your bloodstream, which keeps your insulin levels stable and your sugar levels stable. In terms of this, again, check with your doctors. So for some people, it can be very effective, and it is impacting your thyroid. So you can kind of take it for what it is. But I do believe that having a healthy thyroid is very, very important to your metabolism, because if you don't have a healthy thyroid, a lot of things will go wrong, right? And thyroid functioning is affected by age, stress, and eating bad food. So if you've eaten a lot of bad food, you're aging but don't actually do anything in lifestyle changes, and you handle a lot of stress, your thyroid could be under impact as well. As well, there's another factor which is called MCT oil, which is actually taught a lot in the bodybuilding world. MCT oil is a type of specific oil. It's a very special type of fat molecule that actually acts like a carbohydrate. The chains of it is broken down faster. It is a type of healthy fat that actually increases your metabolism by 12% versus a regular fat molecule that increases it by 4%. So MCT oil can increase and boost your metabolism more than regular fat molecules. So a lot of that, and actually I've mentioned this before, coconut oil and things like that have that. That's why I do like coconut oil, or I've had MCT oil as well. You just have to be careful, because calorically MCT oil still is a higher caloric count. So you have to know how to take your MCT oils. But a lot of competitors actually take MCT oil because it's a very high metabolic fat, different from regular fat. Again, if you're not sure, check with your doctor. And if I don't coach you, that there's more to that, but these are things that can actually increase your metabolic rate. And then the third thing is probiotics, which I've spoken about before. Probiotics is your gut flora and how well your gut flora is functioning. So if you have eaten bad food, you've gone to Disney World and ate all those like churros. I know a few people who went to Disney World or something, or eating all those churros or different things like that. You might want to make sure your digestive system gets reset with proper gut flora, and your probiotics can actually help a more effective digestive system. Your metabolism is highly impacted by how well your digestive system processes food, correct? So therefore, having a better, healthier digestive system really makes a difference. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I need to understand more about metabolism supplements, you can put metabolism supplement below, and I can see what we can help you with in terms of those things. There's actually more, but I'm just throwing out a couple of things for you guys, because there is things you can do to increase it. But like I said, it won't increase, and doesn't matter if your lifestyle factors are not there already, in terms of, working out, drinking water, eating healthy, macros, all of those have to be present. Okay. So put metabolism supplements if you are wanting to understand more. Yes, chromium. Yeah, Debbie, and I'll talk to you about that, because obviously I always talk about you have to source it from the right independently tested parties, right? Don't just go to Superstore and buy chromium, right? you want to make sure you take it from the right sources. So I can talk to you about that, as I have access to those, right? So that is metabolism supplements. Number 5 is lifestyle factors. Okay. So lifestyle factors, wow, I'm talking so fast, I'm on par. I thought would take forever, like an hour and a half. Okay, lifestyle factors. So this next part is conversion of white fat to brown fat. So I did a fat live before. In terms of lifestyle factors, white fat and brown fat are different. So white fat is the surface level fat that you can pinch off of your body, just like the little bit of that subcutaneous fat. And it's pinchable, you can feel it, it's kind of a insulating factor. It's actually what your body does when it doesn't know what to do with all the calories you give it or sugar you give it, right? So um, yes, Carmen, I will message you about probiotics and all of that as well. So yes, we will message you on that. So there's brown fat. Now, brown fat is very different. Brown fat is a highly metabolically active tissue, and it is filled with mitochondria. And brown fat is actually what causes you to shiver a lot when it's cold, right? Where you just involuntarily start to shiver. It is a metabolically active type of fat to keep you warm, which means it actually takes energy to make to this for this fat to function. So it actually draws out a lot of energy from your system. This is the type of fat you want more of. You want more brown fat versus white fat. How do you get more brown fat to develop in your system? There are a couple ways. So the first way is you can obviously eat food that has a little bit kind of spikes your inner heat, like curcumin, turmeric, those things that can actually spike the internal heat a little bit. But what a lot of people would suggest, and a lot of sports athletes actually do this, is obviously cold water therapy. So cold water therapy is when you actually take a cold shower or go into a cold bath. Now, how many of you, I want to know, have done a cold ice bath before? Now, I'll raise my hand because I was a competitive dancer, and it was one of the things I had to do to be able to heal, because I had some major injuries and I was competing at the Canadian Championship many years ago, and I needed to heal that body. And the Chinese doctor was like, you need to go take cold baths. I was like, oh, this is horrible. Okay. So I remembered having to do the cold bath. And but actually a lot of pros, doctors, and all of that often talk about cold baths and ice cold showers and things like that, because it actually causes your system to have to shiver. And Oshone, ready for the cold bath, Oshone? She's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, like it causes you to shiver more and for your body to develop more brown fat over time, which is what you want. You want more brown fat over white fat. You don't have to do it all the time, but maybe once a week would be good. I know some hardcore athletes do it like daily, which is amazing. I mean, it is hard. I have gotten into that cold bath and it is like you just hold your breath like crazy. But you know what? It builds you for sure in mindset, mental toughness, but also builds a better body as well. So there's that part, is learning to convert white fat to brown fat. The next thing is sometimes adding some good quality salt to your food. Salt is something I would say be careful about, but at the same time, having a little bit of good mineral salt, like kind of like Himalayan salt and something like that, can help your body decrease a bit of cortisol if you're pretty stressed out. So basically what happens is that if you have just a tiny bit of salt, now if you already eat too much sodium based food, this is not applying to you, but it is applying to people who may actually be maybe just a little bit too little salt. Some of the salt may actually help you decrease cortisol, because aldosterone is secreted from your adrenals, that controls your kidney function. Aldosterone tells the kidney to hold more water and salt. So when aldosterone is secreted, cortisol gets secreted at the same time. So when they're secreted at the same time, it means cortisol increases in your system. So sometimes if you are finding that you're having a lot of cravings and you're not understanding why, maybe having just a tiny bit of salt, but not just regular salt, but like the sea salt or Himalayan salts, the ones that have minerals in it, may help you a little bit. And also in terms of a decreasing craving, when you have just a tiny bit of salt, it can also help with decreasing belly fat, because obviously cortisol triggers belly fat. So it could be possible that you could boost your metabolism with like a pinch of salt, but watching your sodium intake. Obviously you don't want too much, but a good quality salt. Okay. Yeah, if it has minerals in it, that is good. Um, and yes, awesome. And then the next lifestyle factor is obviously getting more sleep. Okay. Well, I've talked about this, and I know Clarice will admit I'm not good at sleep. Everyone knows this. It's not a secret, but I will still talk about it. So getting more sleep, it actually makes you more insulin resistant. So insulin is important hormone for regulating your blood sugar. When you don't get enough sleep, your pancreas releasing insulin into the system. Insulin floats around in your bloodstream, and it is not able to uptake by the cell because it's resistant. So the cell is not taking the insulin. So when there is more insulin circulating in your system, it would mean that sugar is higher in your bloodstream. And when there's higher blood sugar in your bloodstream, that creates more stress in your body. High blood sugar is not a good situation. And your metabolism will slow to try to accommodate. And you'll typically find you're more hungry because ghrelin is produced more when you don't sleep. So ghrelin makes you hungrier. So if you've ever, how many of you have been like, you haven't had enough sleep and you just find you're always hungry more? I know I definitely have been there, where you don't have enough sleep and you're starting to feel like you need more food, or you're craving more carbs, because that's your ghrelin speaking when you don't have enough sleep. Okay. The next lifestyle factor, and I've talked about this, is making sure you move more throughout the day. They've done studies that people who fidget more, who move more in general, they can burn between 100 to 800 extra calories in a day, because they just move more overall in a day. So for example, if you have a desk job, having a standing desk or one of those like movable ball desk things that move underneath you, that can actually increase your metabolic rate just because you're moving more overall. And it can increase up to 20 to 30% of your energy expenditure. So it's actually called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So you want to move more to produce a non-exercise activity thermogenesis in your system, so that yes, you should exercise and you should strength train, like I said earlier, but if you move more throughout the day, you'll also get the extra benefit of boosting your metabolism more. And I mentioned that every 90 minutes or so, you should probably get up to walk and move. If you have a sedentary job, make sure you're moving lots. Okay. And every 90 minutes, you want to get up and move. And also after you eat, you want to potentially make sure you're moving or walking or whatnot. So move more in general through the day, and you can see a metabolism spike for yourself. Now, yes. So how many of you guys, in terms of there's quite a lot of lifestyle factors. First of all, I want to know, does anybody naturally take ice baths? So do you take ice baths? Yes, I take ice baths. No, I don't take ice baths. Two, are you getting enough mineral sea salt kind of in your diet? Number three, put below, are you getting enough sleep? And number four, are you moving throughout the day? Okay, so put that below. Now, the last part of it is last part of the lifestyle factor is working on mindset. So like I said, lifestyle factors are metabolism boosting or not boosting. Why I want to bring up mindset is because if you tend to stress out easily, you tend to make everything such a big issue, or you're worrying about everything, then what does that actually mean? You know what I'm going to say? It's going to mean that your cortisol will spike. And when your cortisol is high in your system, your body naturally down turns your metabolism, right? Because it's stressed, it feels like it's in danger, and it doesn't want to move your metabolism quickly. I will say cortisol under a short stint, like if you're being chased by a bear, would increase your metabolism in that moment. But if you're under chronic stress, like you're always stressed, you're always upset about something, you're always worrying about something, that can really impact your metabolism as well. So this is really important. So that's when I teach and coach in my programs, we work a lot of mindset. I know Beate on Friday with you FFF ladies will be working a bit on mindset as well, so that we can really learn to control those thought patterns, thought processes, and cortisol, right? These are lifestyle factors. There's a lot more, but I just wanted to throw a couple there that maybe you have never done, like the ice bath or sea salt, different things like that, and making sure you sleep more, and so on and so forth. Okay. So in kind of conclusion, right? If we kind of go back through the how do you boost your metabolism, we kind of can look at like I said, there's the food perspective, which is you got to have enough protein and proper macros. In your training perspective, you need to lift heavier and make sure you have proper HIIT training combinations with that. In your drink perspective, you need to make sure you drink enough water, and your green tea, and making sure that you can get a little bit of caffeine, but not too much. Supplements, like I said, iodine, chromium, MCT oil, those things can be a good supplementation, and probiotics. And then lifestyle factors are making sure that you potentially can consider converting more brown fat with ice baths, monitoring your sleep, monitoring your stress level, your mindset, and making sure you move more through the day. So lots of things like that. I know I covered a lot. So in conclusion, what I am going to say here is this is Metabolism 10, meaning I went through 5 points of what you're doing to slow down your metabolism, 5 points of what's boosting your metabolism. There is actually more to this, but this gets even more complex. So I think this is enough for you guys to chew on for now. But what I will say is these are just information and tips. What will make you successful is making this into a part of your daily routine, rhythms, and habits, and making it in a sustainable program. If you don't know how to apply all of these things and make it stick in proper macros and food, proper workouts, proper lifestyle habits, and proper mindset development, it's not going to have its full potential. So if you are wanting to actually, really make this truly a lifelong sustainable way of living and boosting your metabolism, I want you to put sustainable lifestyle below, because that means you want to understand it from a perspective of how to apply it. So put sustainable lifestyle below if you feel like you want to learn how to put all these aspects together. And one of us obviously will reach out to you. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Yes, I managed to keep that in a good time frame. That is your Metabolism 10 live. And who knows, one day I may do a Metabolism 20 because there was a lot more points past this. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned lots as usual, and I will be back next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fierce and Fit Mentor podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the follow button on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, or wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If something in this episode resonated with you, please leave a review or share it with a friend who'd love it too. Your support means the world and helps us reach more amazing women like you. Until next time, stay fierce, stay fit, and let's keep building your most powerful self.